Anyway, I saw Ashley lady day before yesterday, and there was a lady who wanted to come up and bug me, and Ashley let that lady know to leave me alone. Pretty simple, you know. Um, so even though Ashley and I have had issues in the past, she has asked people to leave me alone. There's a gentleman here named Nick who has also asked people to leave me alone. There's a gentleman named Scott who was able to get at least 3 people to stop their violence. So, I guess moral of the story is whether I agree or disagree with Ashley is of absolutely no consequence at this juncture. What's important right now is that, well, you may not go out of your way to make amends with somebody, but that doesn't mean you can't do the right thing when something comes up. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that they deserve to be abused. And I am thankful for her recognizing. And I'm also thankful for her speaking up then and that way. I was coming up and wanting things as they usually are. You help them how they need and disappear. Or they get angry. You know, you guys got to see that with Christian. I'm like, dude, I can't keep my vehicle if I keep paying people like you. Now, obviously, there's no hatred towards Christian. I do talk to Dora because even though she's had some pretty bad and abhorrent, she talked to me this morning. She got some tattoos, so she needed some Neosporin. She wanted to tell me she was going to get me a pack of cigarettes tomorrow. I'm not worried about the pack of cigarettes. I just rather nobody gets any infections. Anyway, it's not like I went and bought a $17 bottle of the big Neosporin. It was just one of the little ones. Now, when there's somebody who is messed with a lot, it does mean a lot when you ask people not to mess with them. And not only that, Ashley definitely said it within earshot of me because the lady who was coming over to talk to me was probably about 20 feet from my vehicle, and Ashley was probably about 30 feet from her. And she said, leave him alone. I'm thankful for that. There's also the situation with the guy who keeps assaulting me. Apparently, he's been kicked out of the general vicinity of the Pioneer Museum, and he was kicked out by the other homeless folks. He was down there looking for a fight because he didn't get his way with me. People told him to knock it off, just like, you know, here at the Safeway. He wasn't gonna knock it off, he just kept on going. I'm glad that it didn't turn to violence, that people were able to come together and let him know that that wasn't, not only was that not appropriate, but it's not going to be tolerated. They're not going to stand for it. And that's one thing about the homeless community that many people who aren't homeless don't get. We don't want the bullshit. We're stuck with the bullshitters. We don't want to deal with the violent people. But when we go to these services that are supposed to help us, violent people do show up. People who are predatory do show up. People who have a lot of hatred built up and just want somebody to shove it down on do show up. Dora, I talked to her about 3 weeks ago, and she was apologizing to me for what were her exact words? I'm sorry for being